Jim Everett warming up. He came on in the New England game 3 weeks ago. Performed brilliantly, though the Rams did lose on that miracle pass to Irving Fryer at the end. And Steve Pelluer trying to rally his troops now, down by 10 through a very costly interception in that first half. The 50-yard run back by Leroy Irvin. But it's been Everett's night so far in terms of the duel of quarterbacks, and the Rams' night on the scoreboard. 20-10 as the Rams get set to receive the second half kickoff with Charles White and Ron Brown back to receive, and Rafael Septien to kick off for the Cowboys. Here we go. Second half at Anaheim. Taken by White at the 5. And a nice one-arm tackle by Todd Fowler at the 20-yard line. Fowler, second year back out of Stephen F. Austin. First and 10 at the 20-yard line. The Cowboys were offside on the kickoff.
Offside, Dallas, number 46, 5-yard penalty, re-kick.
Maybe that's the reason Fowler was down there. He's the guy.
Good way to get down there early. Rams, of course, want to watch him kick it again because they actually had a very good wedge setup. You saw Charlie White go down, pound the turf. If he would have stayed inside, he could have turned that into a big number. The turnover, the key thing there. It came early. Pelluer trying to go to Tony Hill. Irvin reading it all the way and taking it 50 yards for the touchdown. And the Rams mixing up their offense. That's unusual.
But the other news, Frank, that we're just receiving is not good for the Rams. Ron Brown has a separated shoulder. He made that catch, and you saw him grimace and come off the field, and the report is a separated shoulder, and that obviously means we don't see him for the balance of the night. And we'll try to get an update as to what they anticipate in terms of his return, but that's a big loss.
That could keep him out for some time. It, of course, depends on the severity of it.
From the 30 now, Septien to kick off again. And White fields at the 13. And he brings it back out to the 31-yard line. And they'll start from there, and some extra shoving. And pushing, but no markers down.
These two teams have met more than any other two teams in playoff competition. They're 8 times going back to the early 70s, 4-4, but the last time they met, it was a 20-0 blowout by the Rams, and it was a day in which Dickerson rolled for 248 yards. The Cowboys have been able to shut that off, but all of a sudden they're looking at something new in the form of Jim Everett, this man right here.
First and 10 from the 32-yard line. With Redden in motion, fake pitch to Dickerson, and the toss to Ellard, and he's run down at the 38-yard line. So the Rams now, with Brown gone, will use Ellard. We will see a lot of Kevin House. In fact, what the Rams had done, they wouldn't announce something like House has taken Brown's starting role, but it became evident last week that House was going to see a lot more action anyway. What Brown will do, of course, with his being on the shelf now, will be severely decrease their depth in terms of wide receivers.
Fragile egos. You don't hurt him. You just say, well, we're going to use him a little more. You'll see more of him.
Second and 5. Redden takes it out to the 42-yard line. Redden has already gained more yards this season than in any other year in his career. When he was drafted the year before Dickerson, it appeared that he would be the Rams' great running back of the future, but the following season along came the chance to get Eric. Redden has been reduced to the other back and the blocking back, and still would like to be traded.
Oh, would he? He'd like to run the football. I don't know whether he wants to be traded or not. Says he does occasionally, but he had 1,600 yards as a senior at Richmond. He'd like to carry the football, but he's not going to carry it as long as Dickerson, this man, is helping.
And Dickerson gets the first down after the 44-yard line. Michael Downs in on the tackle. First down.
Hey, what Redden really does well, and it gets better every time you watch him, he's a terrific blocker and also a good receiver. Everson Downs, one of those 1981 free agents, along with Michael Downs. back there in the pass defense that was rated number 1 in the NFL coming out of the 13th week.
First and 10 at the 44. House in motion. Dickerson, and from behind, Randy White rides him down. Gain of about 3. Second and 7.
9 straight Pro Bowls, and he still plays the game as Stanislavski would have loved it. Full method player, everything, intensity out there. You can just read it up here. Moving along, however, will be 34 shortly. Over on the other side, Dutton is 35. Ed Jones is 35. They're playing well, but they have got to start thinking sometime soon about bringing other people in there. Kevin Brooks from Michigan, a first-round draft pick of a year ago. He was expected to see a lot of action this year. Knee injury in preseason, so he has not seen much. Smerrick was also injured early. But there will be a changing of the guard in the not too distant future for the Dallas Cowboys.
Second and 7. Rams at their own 47. We're 3 minutes into the third quarter. Rams lead 20-10. Dickerson to the 49 of Dallas. It'll be 3rd and 3. Tackled by Jeff Rohrer. Dickerson's on a pace right now. He's averaging 117 yards per game. And if he kept this up, he'd wind up with the 4th best year ever for a running back. He, of course, is number 1 at 21:05. O.J. Simpson at 2003 and 73. Earl Campbell, 1934 and 1980. And the timeout is taken here by the Rams, and then Dickerson will be 4th. But Everett has to call time with the Rams ahead 20-10. Anaheim Stadium, Anaheim, California. Al Michaels and Frank Gifford, our special Sunday edition, with the Rams leading Dallas 20-10. And as play resumes, the Rams have the football at the Dallas 49, 3rd and 3.
You know, Al, pre-Jim Everett, you could almost count on a Dickerson run. You'll probably get it anyway, but John Robinson has a new toy now. We could see some play action, and Everett put it in the air.
Dickerson is the sole running back, and he gets it on a draw. And he tried to make it look as if he'd go to the new toy or let the new toy fling one downfield, but it's Dickerson for a minimal gain, and the punting unit has to come in.
Good defensive play by both Randy White and Jeff Coates, short of the first down. Probably should have played with his new toy. Give himself something underneath short, give himself something deep for the touchdown. Other than that, they end up punting.
Gordon Banks at the 10. Dale Hatcher to kick. And it's dead at the 10. As the ball took a backward bounce from the 6-yard line, a 39-yard kick. So it doesn't do a great deal for the gross average, but it does do a great deal for the Rams defense, pinning Dallas deep. And the Cowboys, for the first time, have the ball at their own 10, the first time here in the second half. 10.5 minutes to play. You just joined us in the third quarter. Anaheim Stadium. Rams on top 20-10. The Rams have had the lead on 3 separate occasions tonight. 7-0, 10-7. And then they went ahead 17-10, and now 20-10. Tony Dorsett runs into a group barely after crossing the line of scrimmage. Reggie Doss came out of Hampton Institute 9 seasons ago.
Watch him leave now.
30th birthday. Happy birthday to you, Reg. 3-0.
He doesn't mind. He's sort of like Paul Revere's horse. You don't hear much of him. But he comes out anytime it looks like it might be passed. He's in there against the run, and they bring in Gary Jeter, who is in there in any situation that might mean the Cowboys are going to put the ball in the air.
2nd and 10. And Pallur down at the 7-yard line. Doug Reed was the guy who got it started, and then Gary Jeter finished them off.
Excellent coverage downfield by that Rams secondary. Again, we talked about it earlier tonight. Not a whole lot of hero big names, or at least nationwide back there, but they are very good. They play an old-fashioned defense for the most part. Leroy Irvin said, high school, Pop Warner, whatever you want to call it, we are effective. We keep everyone underneath us and we stay close. That time, Pelluer just had no place to put it. Chased out of the pocket, and consequently the loss.
3rd and 13 out of the gun from the Dallas 7. Pelluer in deep trouble. Safety.
You've got to throw that ball away somehow. Had to know exactly where you were.
Jeter and Green, the 2 pass rush specialists, and the 2 men who lead the team in sacks. Green came in with 7. Jeter came in with 7.
Right here, Pelluer knows I'm in trouble. Now he knows he's in deep trouble. Get rid of it. Behind a Cowboy somewhere, put it in the ground. He had a lot of time to get rid of it. Jeter covers him right there with Kevin Green, 2 points. And it's a tough play because you also have to give the ball back to the Rams. You kick away from your 20-yard line, and Tom Landry is saying, give me a break, son. You have to get rid of that football. We talked about some of the problems the Cowboys have had with Pelluer at quarterback, and I think this is probably the most aggravated I've ever seen with one of his quarterbacks. And he did give him a little confirming pat as he walked away, but he is hot. We knew that Pelluer had to get rid of that football. He could have saved the 2 points. But again, they have struggled with Pelluer, whereas they were 6-2 until Danny White got hurt. He was the #1 passer in the league. So much of your problems right now is worrying number 16. That's Danny White, by the way, on the left talking to Pelluer.
Tom also looked like a man who was watching the season slip away.
They feel, and probably right, they have to win tonight, and they also have to beat Philadelphia and then the Chicago Bears. That's rather ambitious, but if they win them all 3, they will be in the playoffs.
Free kick, and not a good one by Saxon. A bouncing kick fielded at the 32 by Ellard. And Ellard takes it out to midfield and crosses the 50, and it'll be 1st and 10 at the Cowboy 49 with the Rams on top 22-10.
Rams have always had a strong defense. This year it is very strong. And they have now got an offense that's going to be a little bit spooky in this NFC West. Sure, the 49ers, big winners today over the Jets, looking on tonight, hoping that that final confrontation on Friday the 19th that we'll bring you will be the determining factor. If the Rams win tonight and they win next week, they will win their 2nd consecutive division.
Michael Young is one of 3 wide receivers with Brown out. And it's Everett. And the old cliche comes to mind, escape dimension.
There's Gary Jeter, former #1 draft pick of the Giants, played for John Robinson. Giants traded him away here a few years ago. And it was thought a couple of years ago his career might be over. He had back surgery, disc surgery, and it's far from over. He's in there on every pass play, replacing Reggie Doss, and if anything, he's better than he's been in the past.
Picked them up in '83 from the Giants in exchange for a 3rd-round pick.
Fairly cheap.
Yeah. 2nd and 8 from the 47. Dickerson, nothing doing, no gain. Too Tall Jones makes the stop. It'll be 3rd down and 8 with 8.5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter.
Dallas is doing what they set out to do. In talking with Landry today, the key he felt was to hold Dickerson under 100 yards. They have been handling Dickerson rather well. They've been making their own mistakes. Pelluer throwing the 50-yard interception return, taking the safety down there a moment ago. And they are just playing an awfully tough Ram defense. Dickerson only 57 yards this far.
3rd and 8. Pass caught and close to a first down. Darren Long makes his second catch of the night. Again, Long is the fella out of Cal State Long Beach with USFL experience, reactivated off the injured reserve list. And Tunney wants the change brought out. And the crowd is already telling Robinson what they want the Rams to do, even if they come up a little short here on the measurement.
Rams can be about as good a ball control team as you're going to find in this game today. That, of course, is reflected to Eric Dickerson as they bring the chains out. If anything, they perhaps are maybe getting a little too conservative. They had a 3rd and 3 a while ago. They sent Dickerson over the left side, held short. They wound up getting 2 points out of it. So you can't say it was wrong. But they could have gone to something a little more colorful and perhaps kept the ball alive and got in for the touchdown. And that's what they're going to need for the first down. But John Robinson is conservative. He's also very successful. Great career at USC when he had a great defensive ball club almost every year. 4 times he led the Pac-10 during his tenure there. And he always had that one great running back. The one back that would keep the ball in the hands of the Trojans. Now he's got that here now, and what he has is that new toy out. Jim Everett, I don't think he knows quite yet what to do with it.
He figures to go to the old toy here on 4th down and inches. Meanwhile, it looked like Dennis Parra was about ready to come limping off, but he goes back into the huddle on 4th and inches from the 38-yard line. Dickerson and Redden with Damone Johnson in as a 3rd tight end, and they're going to go to the air. Are these really the Rams? First down, but a penalty flag is thrown. There's a marker down. Redden got tangled up with Bates about 10 yards downfield.
This is what I thought they might do a while ago in that 3rd down and 3.
No foul. Flag will be picked up. Yardage gain with the first down.
Everett had the option if he wanted to throw the football. He also knew that in the sprint outside he could get the first down, and he has made some great decisions tonight for a young quarterback. And of course you would expect that with his tremendous career, the great career he had at Purdue. And of course the Rams giving up 2 1s, a 5th, a couple of ball players, an all-pro Kent Hill guard, William Fuller. But they knew they respected their own ability to finish so high in the draft that they'd be drafting quarterbacks from about 20 or 21, and they knew they'd never get one. So they gave up a lot, but they got a lot.
House in motion, 1st and 10 at the 35-yard line. Dickerson picks up about 3. Randy White makes the tackle. I mean, how sweet is life with a 12-point lead? Your team is on a collective roll, and you know you still have number 29 in the backfield.
And it'll extend the career, the play of Jim Everett, of Eric Dickerson. I asked John Robinson, how does he feel about it? Every great running back wants to carry it 25, 30, 35 times. But the way this game is played today, and it is tough and brutal down there, even though Dickerson is very durable, he can wear out very quickly. And Everett throwing the football is going to make a major difference in the number of years he's going to play.
2nd and 6. Everett looking for the sidelines and goes out of bounds at the 28-yard line. Jim Jeffcoat running him out. It will be 3rd and about 4 coming up.
Cowboys 44 sacks into tonight. They've had a difficult time corralling Everett. He, by the way, just tends to run as most right-handed quarterbacks do. They tend to get into position out to the right, and he's done it very well. As I mentioned earlier, John Robinson said he's slippery, and he actually did say this. He said if he was a little kid playing tag, he's not very fast, not very quick, but he would never be it.
3rd down and 4 from the 29 out of the shotgun. Wobbly pass and intercepted in the end zone. Michael Downs probably keeping Dallas in the game.
And one he shouldn't have thrown. Shakes his head. He was in field goal range, possible field goal range. Michael Downs with his 5th interception. And had Everett been so inclined, I think he might have been able to pull it down and pick up the first down on his own. He has a lot of time. line blocked well. Good defensive coverage by the Dallas Cowboys, forced him out of the pocket. Fires the interception, and the Cowboys will have it at their own 20.
Rams on top by a score of 22-10. So Dallas with the interception and trying to turn things around as Michael Downs picked one off in the end zone, and the Cowboys now from the 20. Set the tailback. Tony D for a yard or two. Out to the 22. And it will be 2nd and 8. Things starting so brilliantly for the Cowboys this year, especially offensively, with Dorsett getting hurt on opening night, but Walker picking up the slack, and Danny White, and the fact the Cowboys scored 30 or more points in their first 4 games. They became only the 3rd team in NFL history to do that. But there's a kicker to that story as well. 2nd down and 8 from the 22. And the pass is caught as Cosby comes back and makes the catch at the 34-yard line.
Dangerous pass by Pallur. He got it in there. It was a great athletic effort just to get rid of it, but very dangerous. Diving catch and kept it alive. And what Dallas has got to start thinking about now, as you see the pressure with Eckern right in Pallur's face. He didn't even see the catch. He disappeared. But the man they've got to think about is getting the ball somehow to Tony Hill. He is the man who can take it deep for them. They've shut him off thus far tonight, but they have to start going to him somewhere along the line.
Pump fake. Pallur keeps and slides out to the 40-yard line for a gain of about 7. Some of you may recall when we had the Dallas-St. Louis game in week 4 this year on Monday Night Football. That was the night that Dallas scored 30 or more points to start the season with 4 consecutive games. And we put up a graphic that night that showed the other 2 teams to do it, the 68 Giants and the 75 Bills. And the kicker was neither of those teams made the playoffs. And the Cowboys are in a most precarious spot right now. 2nd and 5. Juggled and caught by Cosby again. Short gain, and they're still about 4 yards shy of the first. Cromwell covered.
Nolan now in his 10th year. He's had 144 starts. Former decathlete out of Kansas. Maybe not the best of the tacklers back there, but still is kind of the leader. He calls the defenses, changes things off when he sees the offensive sets. Very bright, very knowledgeable.
He calls the defenses when Eckern's not in, as is the case right here. On 3rd down and 4, a long 4 from the 39 out of the shotgun. And he's going for it all, and going for Sherrard. And Sherrard comes back but has it batted away. Johnny Johnson was beaten, but then I believe got a hand in to bust it up.
Sherrard tried to come back and get it. Full sprint. Johnson starting just a little bit late. Had there been a little more smoke on this one, it could have been 6, because Sherrard has the sure hands, had the quickness, had the speed, and he had Johnson beat. And it was still one he could have had. It would have been a spectacular catch, but that ball had a little more on it. It looked like 6.
And Johnson was beaten on the play. Saxon. Ellard at the 14. And Ellard gets it out to the 21-yard line. And the Rams get it back after a 47-yard boot with 4:01 to play in the 3rd. Rams by a dozen. Not a bad trifecta right there.
Everett, Ellard, and Eric. And we're going to see a lot of Everett. And for sure a lot of Dickerson, who's having a great year. But all the talk really out here is about this young quarterback, Jim Everett.
First down Rams from their own 21. 4:01 to play 3rd period. 22-10 LA. Dickerson.
Eric Dickerson.
2 or 3. Mike Hegman,
line,
number 58, making the tackle.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the National Football League is strictly prohibited.
For Dickerson, that would be a very subpar night, but he's still on a pace that would bring him close to 100 with 64 yards late in the third.
The 3.6 average is a significant mark there.
And on 2nd and 8, he helps to increase that average a little bit as he takes it out to the 30, where it will be 3rd down and 1. Dickerson, 4th year out of SMU.
Last week he had his 9th 100-yard game of the season.
And he has 35 of those in his career. And he picks up the yard and about 7 more. And a flag goes down at the conclusion of the play out at the 37-yard line. Jim Tunney. And that will negate that gain and negate what would have been a first down.
Relatively flag-free game thus far tonight, and here's Jim Tunney.
Holding 86 during the run, 10 yards, still 3rd down.
Stamone Johnson, tight end. They're still minus Tony Hunter, who's on the injured reserve. David Hill is the #1 tight end right now, and Johnson's the backup. It's the first penalty against the Rams tonight that has been accepted by the Cowboys.
Another loss they suffered too. Mike Gooman, Mr. Everything for the Rams. Tight end, U-back, whatever you want to call him. They lost him for the season with a knee problem.
3rd and 6, and they give it to Dickerson. Big hole off the inside give, and he takes it out to the 35-yard line. So the Cowboys expecting pass and very soft in the middle, and the little inside handoff and a first down to the 35-yard line.
Ram offense, Ram football. Give it to Dickerson. If it doesn't work, give it to Dickerson again. And eventually he's going to pop one. He broke off a big one, gets the first down. Clock continues to move. John Robinson already starting to think about it. Glance up there and take a look at it. They're in control.
LA. Everett steps up to escape the pressure and then throws one low, intended for Ellard. It'll be 2nd and 10. Everett, the 3rd man taken in the draft. Think about this. Tampa Bay had the #1 pick, and that turned out to be a big 0 for them as Bo Jackson opted for baseball. And then Atlanta came along and went for Tony Casillas to shore up the defense. And then Houston had the 3rd pick, and that turned out to be Everett.
They didn't get along, and John Robinson gave a couple of 1s, a 5, a couple of pretty good football players, and they've got themselves a winner.
2nd and 10, and they give it to the up back. Redden taking it to the 37-yard line, and it'll be 3rd and about 8 upcoming. Barry Redden already in his 5th season now out of Richmond.
Excuse me. Now, you say the bad news about the Rams up until Everett's time was that they were never very pretty when they were winning. Of course, they are now, but the good news was always they usually finished on time.
That's right. Tell you what, you're a lot prettier at 10 and 4 than at 7 and 7.
Yes, indeed.
3rd and 8. And it's House, but the pass deflected. Kevin House was there along with Johnny Holloway, who might have gotten a hand in. And the way the Cowboys were reacting, he did, and he's upset that he wasn't able to pick it off.
I don't think he was all that upset. He was lucky to be there. That ball also was put in there, just absolutely perfect by Everett, and it was a great play by the rookie from Kansas to prevent another first down.
Gordon Banks. He stands back at the 20. Dale Hatcher with the rush on, and they almost got to it, and it's a high and short kick, and Banks fields it, and Banks gets buried after he had called for the fair catch but obviously it was not detected by Norwood Van. And Van is probably, shall we say, the wildest of the Rams special teamers.
There's a difference between being wild and being foolish.
Interference for the man making the catch. 51, 15-yard penalty. First down.
Yeah, he had to run through his own men. Everyone saw that fair catch but Van. He had to almost knock his own people out of the way to make the hit.
Norwood comes back and he says, "What signal?" To the strains of Twist and Shout. That oldie but goodie making a major comeback, thanks in part to Rodney Dangerfield and Back to School.
Days of the chubby one. Chubby Checker. Jackie Slater, one of the best around. Anchor over on that right side, having another good year. A couple of Pro Bowls in the last 3 years, looking for another one. And Tom Landry looking up at the clock, not too concerned about that yet. 42 seconds remaining in the third quarter, but obviously concerned with the ineffectiveness of an offense is being directed by Steve Plur with Danny White on the bench with a broken wrist.
Let's see what the Cowboys can do now as this drive commences at the 50-yard line, and Herschel Walker gets into Ram territory, stopped at the 48, and it will be 2nd and 8.
I'm going to keep saying it, but it isn't so much the ineffectiveness of the offense, and it has been that, however, and they've made their mistakes. The interception by Plur for the touchdown, giving up the safety. But the Rams defense makes every team look pretty awful. Last week against the Jets with what had been a high-flying offense, they could do nothing against them. They just make you look bad.
2nd and 8 as the third quarter expires on a Herschel Walker burst through the middle. It ends summarily at the 47-yard line. And that is the end of the third quarter in Anaheim Stadium. And a look at Brown. Ron with a great first half, but a separated shoulder and done for the night. And we go to the fourth. 22-10. We'll be back after this message from your local station. As we come back, this is on tape about 30 seconds ago. Tom Landry is being escorted off the field, and we will get, obviously, for you as soon as possible a report. We would have to assume, looking at those circumstances, some sort of threat in regard to Landry. But Tom is not on the sidelines as we start the fourth period on a 3rd and 7, and Newsom makes the catch and picks up the first, or close to a first down, at the 40-yard line. And there is Danny White, who had been helping out, and Hackett, who runs the pass offense, is upstairs as Landry is back in the clubhouse.
They'll be talking back and forth, and if that is the case, it is also very sick.
Brutal.
It happens. I guess this is the first time. There have been threats that have taken place in years over Monday Night Football, but this one obviously was deemed by authorities, if that was the case, that it was imperative to get him off the field. But we will wait and confirm.
1st and 10 from the 40-yard line. That's tipped and nearly intercepted, and it winds up a catch by Sherrard somehow, some way, off a tip. A great play.
A great concentration by Sherrard. Right over the top of the receiver.
Meanwhile, as you look at this again, Giroux with the tip, I would have to think, Frank, I would guess it would be the first time in the history of the Cowboys that Landry has not been on the sideline.
And indeed, I think you're exactly right. It'll be Paul Hackett talking with Danny White on the sidelines. They'll be calling the plays.
Dorsett stopped by Reggie Doss, and it will be 2nd and 10 at the 29-yard line. So the Cowboys now, minus the man who has led them not only tonight and through the years, but in the entire history of the franchise.
27 years he's been on that sideline. I know this is an absolute first.
2nd and 10 at the 29-yard line. Out in front, Sherrard. No, he was out of bounds. was there, but Sherrard was out of bounds.
And he had the defender beaten once again. Valor leads it just a little bit to the inside of 6 points. He had a fly open a while ago, underthrew it, lost another 6 points. But as you can see, he had sprinted by. Irvin was there. The ball was just led out of bounds.
3rd and 10. Again, we're obviously checking this out for you. We don't want to give you any misinformation until we're sure of what we've got on Landry. We won't speculate, and we'll just wait for the official word. 3rd and 10. And Valor was in the grasp, and down he goes. No further play. The play had ended at the 42-yard line. The play dead at the 42 in the grasp of Gary Jeter. And Sean Miller, number 98, also there.
That's why they bring Jeter in. Sean Miller also was there. Sean Miller has had 4 sacks from that nose tackle position, but when they go to a 4, he goes to the inside position. And he was there along with Gary Jeter. They're tough. They make you look bad. And they're doing that to the Cowboys tonight.
So 4th down and 22 now. Cowboys trailing 22-10. Mike Saxon to kick. Ellard and Johnny Johnson are the double safeties. Fair catch called for and made at the 9-yard line by Johnny Johnson. So the Rams are pinned deep. 12:15 to go in the 4th. And the Rams lead 22-10. Now a live shot. Seconds ago, Tom Landry emerged from the Dallas locker room and escorted back out to the field. And there he is, and he'll reassume his normal position along the sidelines.
Maybe Alicia called. We'll try to find out. It did look very serious. He was escorted by police, one of them with his hand on his revolver.
1st down, Rams now from the 9-yard line as Dickerson takes the pitch and gets it out to the 12. And the only report we had to this point was that it was not an illness. That's not why Landry went back and escorted out by the entire posse and then brought back in again.
And now he's hooking up with Paul Hackett, and saying to Danny, what happened while I was gone? But he does have security around him, and they remain around him. So we will continue to try and find out what happened.
2nd and 7 from the 12-yard line. Dickerson takes it out to the 15. And it will be 3rd down and 5.
Back in the harness. Rams deep in their own territory, playing it conservative at this point. That kind of a defense, you can play it that way also.
3rd and 5 from the 15-yard line. Dickerson fights his way out for a 1st down.
And with that kind of running back, maybe it's not too conservative. Clock ticks away. Rams get it out from their own 10-yard line. Superstar, no question about that.
It's a big E.
The durability, Al. 330 carries into tonight. Has never left a game shaken up this season. Just goes on and on. And, you know, he doesn't look all that solid, all that durable. Looks almost fragile. But he hits like a tank. It's great power.
1st and 10 from the 21. Ellard. Fellows makes the tackle. The police and the stadium security people will not comment as to what the Landry situation is. We've obviously tried to get some sort of a statement from them. And of course we'll continue to check for you, but that's all of the information we have right now. 2nd and 6. Rams from the 25-yard line. Dickerson out to the 28. Stopped by Rohrer, and the Rams working on the clock. 9:25 to go in the 4th.
And they have one of the best machines around in Dickerson to work on that clock. That's the time remaining in the 4th, and as long as you can move the ball on the ground, and they are doing it now, it will make a little short pass, a ball control type of short pass off play action from Jim Everett, an additional weapon as they continue to try to run the clock out.
Meanwhile, Dickerson sneaking up on 100 again. He's got 98. 3rd and 2. And a first down. Meanwhile, some of the security people watching out, and obviously, well, we don't want to say obviously, but it would appear from everything we're looking at here that there was a threat of some nature in regard to Tom Landry, which caused his temporary removal from the field and now back on.
And you wouldn't want to speculate, but it could be possible, Al, that perhaps he went in, they put some sort of a vest on him. They're all around him. They were with him when he left the field, and they came back with him.
1st and 10 from the 32-yard line. As Dickerson takes it out to the 33. I can't remember Tom's exact apparel before the game. I know he came out with a tie and he came out with a sweater, but there appears to be something underneath.
And I guarantee
the
you
sweater as well. Right. But as you can see, and again, I don't have the total recall to be able to say if he had that white clothing or whatever it is, apparatus under the gray sweater. But there he is patrolling the sidelines.
No question, is something extraordinary.
2nd and 9. Dickerson cuts it back and takes it out to the 40, and it will be 3rd and 1. It's been all Eric now in the 4th quarter.
Did you see the block by number 30, Barry Redden? He's been doing that now for 3 years for Dickerson. Key block. Springs Dickerson once again. A machine, and a time-consuming machine. He is just ticking the minutes off the clock. And perhaps the Cowboys' hopes for any playoff opportunity.
Dickerson, his 10th 100-yard game of the season. Slips a tackle and turns what would have been a loss into, or a bigger loss, into a smaller one, a loss of 1 into the 2nd and 11. By the way, the record for most 100-yard games in a season, 12, and that was set by Dickerson himself in 1984. So if he can do it next week against Miami and against San Francisco, he'll tie the record. 4th down.
Shattered a lot of records that year. 2,105, breaking OJ's single season record.
Hatcher to kick. Banks at his own 22. Rams using as much of the clock as they can since it's running.
Hatcher has the clock in his sights at the end zone, takes it down to 4 seconds.
Big rush, but Banks calls for the fair catch at the 26, and the penalty marker is down as Everson Walls ran into Hatcher.
Running into the kicker, number 24, 5 yards, first down.
That hurts. They have struggled and struggled to get the football back, to try and get back into the game. And let's take a look at number 24. Coming from the outside, he obviously thought he had a shot at it. And the reason that penalty is there and so severe is that kicker is so vulnerable once he leaves the ground. And Walls, no question, collided with him. Had he touched the football, it would have been all right. He did not.
What Landry was arguing was that he was pushed in by Wilcher. Wilcher, number 54, had contact with Walls, but in the estimation of Tunney, Walls came in and receives the penalty.
Actually, if Wilcher did anything, he was knocking him away from the punter.
So the Rams have it at their own 45.
Not the prettiest thing we watched over the course of this game, but it is ever so effective. Dickerson left, Dickerson right.
That could have done the Cowboys in right there. Instead of getting the ball back, the Rams still have it on first down. Rivers fires to the 40-yard line and complete there to David Hill. The tight end makes his first catch of the night.
Usually gets one a game.
Yep. Got that one for his brother Jim, the CBS sportscaster.
You know, in years gone by at Detroit, he was an all-pro receiver. One year he had, I think, 70-some receptions as a tight end. Here, even though he's taken off a lot of weight this year, he is an exceptional blocker. And when you have a Dickerson, that's what you want. And particularly with injuries now to Mike Grumman and Tony Hunter, the role of David Hill has become even more prominent with the Rams.
First and 10 from the 41-yard line. Redden, a big hole. 30, 20, 10. Touchdown, Redden.
Robinson won't like that. He wants to work on the clock. He can run the football. And, you know, when you watch Barry Redden play football, you almost feel sorry for him that he plays in that backfield with Eric Dickerson, because he has had some great individual efforts. Look at him read that. That was designed to go a little inside on the left. You saw it with good blocking by Doug Smith and Newberry. Broke it off to the right. Good speed, the kind of speed that, as a senior at Richmond, made him a #1 draft pick and carried him for over 1,600 yards. But here, well, he just ordinarily works ahead of Dickerson. This time, he has pretty much put this one out of reach.
Lansford kicks it through to make the score 29-10. And that equals the longest run of Barry Redden's career in a season in which he's rushed for more yardage than ever before.
Oh, he loves it.
Again, the Landry situation, that's a shot earlier tonight. And as you can see, Tom with the tie and the shirt and the vest, and as we suspected, that white underpiece, very much in our minds, of course, and I'm sure in yours, would be some sort of vest, protective vest that he is wearing since his removal and re-entrance to the stadium. Meanwhile, Levette takes the kick, brings it out past the 30, and goes out of bounds out at the 39-yard line. Rams on top by a score of 29-10 and ready to maintain their game-and-a-half advantage in the NFC West.
Rather bizarre, if that indeed is the case, and also quite sick. It really is, when you consider the one person, whether it be for real or not, and in most cases they obviously are not. You have to take the protective measures, of course, but to cause such displeasure for Tom, family, everyone here, who has been a very good crowd, it is sick.
Just takes one. First down from the 40. Hey, Jack. Swings it out to Tony Dorsett. And Dorsett stays in bounds out at the 48-yard line, run down by Sean Miller, and the clock keeps ticking down toward a Rams victory. And the Rams remain here next week to play Miami. Then they go to San Francisco, and if they beat Miami next week, they will wrap up the NFC West. Ballure nearly picked off, intended for Cosby, and Jerry Gray came that close to an interception.
For Dallas, almost eliminated. You can't say that mathematically they are totally out of it, but even had they won tonight, down the road is Philadelphia playing tough, then Chicago.
Third down and 2 now. Ball at the 48-yard line. 29-10 LA. And Ballure gets sacked at the 47-yard line.
Again, good coverage. Mickey Sutton was back there. Tony Hill, the intended receiver, was well covered by Mickey Sutton. Ballure had his eyes glued on Tony Hill. No options. And this will bring up fourth down.
And we'll be in Seattle tomorrow night.
Hopefully.
Big one in the AFC West. I guess the Raiders got in ahead of the fog. Raiders against the Seahawks at 9 Eastern time.
Well, it's been tough sledding up there for the Raiders. Past few visits. What have they lost 4 straight there now?
Haven't won since '81. 4th and 4 from the shotgun as Pelluer fires and keeps the drive alive on a pass to Timmy Newsom, who scored the only Dallas touchdown tonight in the first half. So the Cowboys keep their very faint hopes alive with 3:57 to play now.
Giants all alone now at the NFC East. They have St. Louis and Green Bay to contend with. They have a 1-game lead now over the Redskins.
Pelluer, one-hand screen grab by Dorsett to the 40. You wonder about the other Cowboy quarterbacks. Reggie Collier is exciting but unproven and untested. The other quarterback, Paul McDonald. Through the hands of Renfro. 3rd down. We're getting the information now that the situation is this. A series of telephone threats were received by authorities, and it was deemed they were serious enough to take Landry to the locker room, and it was evaluated there and investigated, and after doing such, it was determined by Landry himself to return to the field. So they told Tom what the situation was, and it was his choice to come back, and obviously under very tight security. 3rd down and 5 from the 40. And a first down as Sherrard makes the catch, the #1 draft choice, and they keep moving.
Obviously, there is no comment on the vest, but we feel certain there is one because he is in a totally different uniform than when he left the field. You wouldn't suspect any different from Tom Landry, one of the youngest bomber pilots in World War II. Flew over 30 missions at the age of 18 years old. Remarkable man. It's just kind of sad, and it is saddening to think this can even happen in sport. This is a football game. Must be some sort of perspective somewhere.
1st and 10 from the 34-yard line as Pelluer throws for Sherrard, and he's tackled at the 13-yard line by Tim Fox, and we're down to 3:09 to play the 4th.
Now, if there is one bright spot, it has to be this youngster, Sherrard, who missed almost all of the training camp. Great receiver at UCLA, hurt his knee in training camp, missed all of that, and has come back to make spectacular plays week in and week after week. He is going to be a very exceptional outside receiver.
For Sherrard again, and at the 1-yard line, apparently an interception. And it is ruled as such by Mickey Sutton. Sutton on his back and somehow, some way coming up with it. And Diassi says, how?
And the nightmare continues for Pelluer. Sutton now a couple of big plays defensively for the Rams. Let's take a look at it again. Sherrard, when you're down there tight near that goal line, you don't have to take that drop because obviously the field is shortened as you get in close, and it was played well by Sutton and right into his hands. Look at Sherrard. He's scrappy. He's battling. He makes the stop.
And so the celebration can begin for Sutton and the Rams as they have it at their own 6-yard line. 2:39 to play in the 4th. And White is in the game. And the former Heisman Trophy winner takes the ball out to the 8-yard line, and the Cowboys calling for a timeout. Bill Bates wants to stop the clock.
Charlie doesn't get in there very often. He forgot the snap count. Leaned up there and said, what is it? What is it? He's been a great contributor to this Ram team, and Dills, who has replaced Everett for the closing minutes, comes over to talk with John Robinson. Tough on a Heisman Award winner, and we've got 3 of them playing here tonight. Charlie White, former Heisman Award winner, USC, played for John Robinson, went to Cleveland, there for 4 years. Never really developed into what he had been at USC. Had a lot of personal problems. Came out here, released. As a matter of fact, John Robinson picked him up again. And he's done that with a lot of his former players. And Charlie White has taken this role seriously. He plays on the special teams. He gives it every effort, every opportunity he has. And yet he must look out there, Al, and see Herschel Walker and Tony Dorsett and think of what might have been.
The way it started, Cowboys picking up Walker, and a breath of fresh air for them, and the way they began the season with a scintillating victory over the New York Giants. And how long ago does that seem? And think about this, the Giants, as this season has now completed, or is in the process of completing week 14, the Giants have only lost twice, once to Dallas and the other time to Seattle.
You know, and Tom points distinctly to that second Giants game as where they were really hurt. They were beaten there by a field goal. The next week they lost to the Raiders by 4 points. That's where he said it all started to happen and fall apart.
This play fell apart before the snap as flags were down. And now there are all kinds of flags down as Randy White gets into a little bit of an altercation with Tony Slayton.
Frustrating year, it has to be. 6-2 start, and then the fall apart.
And the Cowboys, historically, at least in recent times, have not played well toward the end of a season. They start out quickly, and of course now that they are one of the more elderly clubs in the NFL, there's no reason to suspect they would play any better toward the end of the year, and that's been borne out in the last 3 weeks.
We have offsetting fouls. False start, 5 yards. Personal foul number 54. It's a 5 and a 15. The 15 yards will be penalized, and number 54 is disqualified for unsportsmanlike conduct.
The name of the game is football, but it doesn't mean you can kick your opponent, and that's what White did to Slayton, and that's why he gets ejected.
Very emotional player, Randy White, now in his 12th year, and that time just got out of line, and he's out of the ball game. 9 straight Pro Bowls, that is. They brought him up as a #1 draft pick 12 years ago. Al, they experimented and played around with him as a linebacker. And he was not a linebacker, but he's turned into one of the greats of all time at defensive tackle. Edging up there closer to 34 years of age, however, and a 16-game season. Throw in the fact that the Cowboys played 5 preseason games. They had that extra one when they played over in London. It's been a long, tough year.
Funny year, too. Remember how bad the Cowboys looked in preseason? They went 0-5, and there was a good deal of concern. But then a brilliant beginning to the year as White takes the give and gets out to the 25, and the Cowboys again want to stop the clock here, so they take another timeout on defense as we come down close to the 2-minute warning. Precisely 2:21 left in the game. And the Cowboys will try to stop the Rams, force them to kick, and then see what they can do. But the mountain is like Everest when you're down by 19. Al Michaels and Frank Gifford in Anaheim. Rams comfortably ahead, and the Rams at their own 25-yard line on a 2nd down and 8 with 2:21 to play in the 4th period. Steve Dills spelling Jim Everett, who had a good night, and Charles White, and again that play was whistled dead before it began, so the game degenerates here after it had been crisply and cleanly played.
Different people in there, and timing off. We're going to get a lot of calls.
Start, number 67. Play was killed. Still be 2nd down.
That's
5-yard penalty.
That's one of them, Duval Love. And he just doesn't play that much, as Robinson giving some of the regulars a little bit of a break. But when you look at this Ram team, you can see a team that is a much better football team than they were 3 weeks ago. And that is when they finally got around to putting Jim Everett in there. It isn't only that he's a good quarterback and going to be, in all probability, a great one. He is going to make it so much easier for Eric Dickerson to run. When you can throw the football, you can run the football. And when you can run it, and the Rams can do that, you also can throw it.
White on 2nd and 13 struts his stuff. Out to the 31-yard line. Stopped by Jim Jeffcoat. And Dallas will spend its final timeout here. Or will they? They don't have to. 2-minute warning. Though, even though the 2-minute warning is shown by the clock, Tunney had pointed that the Cowboys are charged with a timeout. Insult to injury. We'll be back. Meanwhile, let's keep it here for the moment as security continues to perform its function. Tunney had called for the timeout, and then one of the other officials came over and had said we've already reached the 2-minute warning.
I think they're going to charge it with him, Al.
It looked like it.
They're running the clock
back. Yeah, that's what
back.
they're doing. They're taking the clock back to 2:04. So the clock had been stopped, and Dallas had taken its last timeout. And when play resumes, it'll be 3rd down and 2.
And the clock will be stopped for the 2-minute warning.
And if the Rams can pick up a 1st down on this play, then we'll have the 2-minute warning, and then we'll have a couple of plays, and you can all go night-night. (29-10) Rams. Third and 2. And White has the 1st down and a lot more, and takes it out to the 49-yard line. And the 2-minute warning. So 1:58 remaining in the 4th. 29-10 Rams. Rams on top by a score of 29-10 with 1 minute and 58 seconds to play in the 4th quarter. At Anaheim Stadium, Rams on the verge of going 10-4, and the Cowboys will be at 7-7.
And the Rams can tick this all off.
Cowboys cannot stop the clock. So White is still the sole running back, and it's he taking the carry. And again, we've had, for the 3rd time now since the subs came on, a stoppage of play before its inception.
7, leaving early.
Who was leaving early? The crowd?
There are very few here. Security much easier.
Yeah.
The security almost outnumbering those who will remain.
First down, 15. So White filling in here at the end for Dickerson, who had another 100-yard night. But again, Everett was the key man. Brown had a great receiving first half, but then a separated shoulder rendered him inoperative for the balance of the night. White again. Meanwhile, Dickerson just purchasing a home in the Malibu Hills as you look at Jeffcoat. So he'll be a neighbor of the world's best spotter, Kelly Hayes, our statistician, George Hill, up here in the high rent district.
And what a commute he's going to have. He'll leave yesterday.
Pretty good haul from Malibu to Anaheim.
Fine night by Jim Everett. And there will be many more to come, you suspect, from this youngster. All the credentials, living up to all of them. So many things, so right.
2nd and 17. And out to the 47-yard line.
Charlie had only had 15 attempts into tonight, and now he's getting the work as Dickerson gets the rest. Dickerson over 100 yards, but they were a tough 100 yards to come by tonight.
3rd and 11 at the 47-yard line. It'll be Robinson's 3rd straight season with 10 or more victories. John 11-5 last year. Third and EO 11. White to the 48, and that'll do it. Another play need not be run.
And playoff hopes for Dallas all but disappearing with the loss tonight. And again, a bizarre circumstance here. Tom Landry again surrounded by security, obviously wearing something under his sweater that we assumed to be a vest, having gone in to get one earlier. Strange world we live in.
So the Rams win it. It's all over in Anaheim, and it's a convincing victory for LA. And now the Rams with either one more win or one more San Francisco loss, and the Niners have a tough one at New England next Sunday. The Rams would be the NFC West champions, a game and a half up with 2 to play. The magic number is 1. Al Michaels and Frank Gifford, and that's the story from Anaheim. 29-10. The final is the Rams beat the Cowboys. And this ABC Sports exclusive has been brought to you by Dodge, makers of the new Shadow, Daytona Caravan, and Lancer. Dodge setting new standards of performance. By Miller Lite. For great taste, there's only one light beer. And by Braun Electric Shavers, Braun designed to perform better. Travel arrangements made through. Promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline, and nobody knows beautiful Hawaii like United. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the globe as the leader in sports television.